So, in my last video, we looked at several of the benefits of working at the Big Four. Now, to give everything a bit of fairness and a bit of balance, in this video, we're going to be looking at the other side, the cons of working at the Big Four. This will be based on my personal experience combined with feedback from my peers and other people I know that have worked in the Big Four across all lines of service. So if we haven't met before, my name is James Alberts and I've been working at one of the Big Four firms in London for the past 4 years. The purpose of the channel is really to share my insider knowledge and personal experience of working at the Big Four, graduate career advice, personal finance and productivity tips. So if that sounds like something you would enjoy, hit that subscribe button for more great content. Anyway, let's dive in. So the Big Four, and hence the name, are large international networks. Now because of this, they're not as nimble and agile as some smaller organisations out there. I like to think of the Big Four as big tanker ships. You know, they are huge, colossal beasts. Because they're so big, they're really hard to maneuver, really hard to change course without significant effort. So it can be quite difficult to navigate through the various layers of approval and processes to kind of get what you want. In summary, the Big Four are quite bureaucratic. Then this might be surprising because a lot of the Big Four spend a vast amount of money, time and effort putting out press releases about how innovative they are, whether it's using artificial intelligence or accepting Bitcoin payments or the use of drones and other technology in their audits. But in fact, when you actually get to the operational level, they're quite risk averse. And this is more prevalent in the audit and assurance line of service, and this is due to the really strict regulations, legislation, various accounting standards and guidance that seems to be increasing year on year. Now, obviously this is a good environment for some people. If you value certainty and stability, it's going to be perfect for you. However, if you're a more creative individual who wants to be a bit more of a change maker, it's probably not going to be right for you, particularly in the audit and assurance line of service. I guess that kind of makes sense actually. They don't want creative accountants, but you get the point. If you're someone that wants to make a real big impact and difference, you might get quite frustrated at the Big Four being caught in the various processes and layers of approval. One of the most common complaints or negative experiences of the Big Four is the work-life balance. Google Big Four work-life balance and you'll see thousands of posts on Reddit and various forums complaining about the work-life balance. The various rankings for the accounting firms, and typically the Big Four being PwC, EY, Deloitte and KPMG, rank obviously in the top 4 most prestigious accounting firms. However, if you look at the same rankings table, they also have a quality of life or work-life balance assessment. These Big Four firms drop significantly. For example, PwC drops down to 6th, KPMG falls down to 25th, and Deloitte and EY are absent. Historically, the busy season was limited to January and February. And when I say busy season, this is typically when most of the accountants' work was performed. This was because most companies had a December financial year end, and so accountants spend a lot of time in January and February making sure obviously all the numbers are true and fair and accurately represented in the financial accounts. And this means you'll be working kind of 60 to 80 hours to meet those client deadlines. However, what's happened now is companies have taken on more clients and obviously there's more companies in general. Those accounting deadlines have kind of spread throughout the year. So for example, in my personal experience, I have a busy season in January and February, and then have another one in June, July, and a final one in September and October. So instead of being 2 months of the year, I now actually have busy season for about half of the year. And this leads to a significant increase in hours. So let me grab my timesheet, and it's all digital now. Over the past year, on average, I have worked at 140% utilization. And this basically means that I've worked 1.4 full-time jobs. So instead of working roughly 37.5 hours per week, across the year, including the busy season and normal periods, I've worked on average around 52 hours per week, 10 to 11 hours per day. And obviously the problem with these hours is it makes it extremely hard to maintain that work-life balance. You commute back home, you cook yourself some dinner, you've got changed, you're exhausted. You really have no energy to do anything else. I remember, for example, one of the really busy periods I had was me and the manager left the client site at around 1 or 2 in the morning. You could hear all the birds chirping. We got a taxi ride home, which took about 45 minutes or so. Got home, showered, had about 5 hours sleep and back in the next day. And this would happen each day of the week as you got closer to those client deadlines. And this is because obviously you're serving the biggest, most kind of prestigious clients. And all these clients want to provide information to the markets in a timely manner or as fast as they can. And because of this, the deadlines on your own work are extremely tight. And because they're tight, you have to put a lot of hours in, which leads to this kind of vicious work-life balance cycle. Now, a problem a lot of firms have had over the past couple of years is around staffing issues. A lot of people at the moment are leaving the Big Four due to obviously that poor work-life balance and excessive amount of hours. And there's a bit of a vicious circle at the moment. The rate at which people have left over the past couple of years has been higher than average. With an increased amount of people leaving, that increases the workload on the people who have stayed. That increased workload on the people who have stayed has increased their hours, increased their stress, and ultimately further increased the percentage of people leaving. So it's this vicious cycle of increasing workloads for those who stay. Problem is there isn't enough people to do the But obviously this can be good and bad because you can get a variety of experience and responsibility very early on in your career. And with business booming, it gives you a certain job safety. The risk of you being made redundant or losing a job is pretty low to non-existent. That certainty and stability can give you a lot of benefits. However, on the bad side, it really does hit that work-life balance. It can make the job more stressful and it can make accounting feel a bit more of a grind. With all those long hours, you'd hope that you're fairly compensated for your time. Let's have a look at the data and I'll let you be the judge. So let's bring a scale up here for comparison. The national UK average wage, according to Office for National Statistics, is around £32,000. At the Big Four, once you're qualified, that's typically around 3 years into joining the Big Four as a graduate, you'll be paid around £46,000 plus. So it seems pretty good because you're getting paid 14 grand more than national average 3 years into your career. But we'll have more on that in a minute, so hold on tight. And while that might seem pretty good compared to national average, once you actually qualified as an accountant, you can leave for what's called industry. And industry is essentially accounting or recruitment speak for working actually within an accounting department within a company rather than a professional services firm. And if you were to leave for industry after about 3 years of experience of joining the Big Four, you can expect around £60,000 plus with a bonus. So as you can see, obviously you're getting paid more than the national average. However, at the same time, you're getting paid less than you could get elsewhere in the market based on your current qualifications.
Make a lot of money.
Yeah, I do all right for myself.
You show me a pay stub for $72,000 on it, I quit my job right now and I work for you. Hey, Paulie, what's up? No, everything's fine. Hey, listen, I quit.
The other thing to consider is that salaries for qualified accountants are actually lower than other respected professions such as lawyers and bankers. After 3 years of working at one of the big law firms, you can expect around £65,000 plus. For the same period at one of the investment banks, you can expect around £85,000 plus. And these are, of course, there will be nuances and average depending on regions, but these are typically average values of working somewhere for 3 years. You could be earning between 25 and 60% more in other professions. So now, we said we'd come back to that national average. So let's have a look at that in a bit more detail. So the national average salary is around £32,000, and on average, people in the UK work around 37.5 hours per week. But this leads you to an hourly rate of around £16.11. If we were to do the same calculations for the Big Four, based on my experience, the salary, like I said, is around £46,000. You'll be working around 52 hours per week, which means you actually end up with a wage around £15.80. As you can see why you're getting paid more salary, due to the hours you're working, you're actually getting less per hour worked compared to the national average. So based on the hours you're putting in at the Big Four, on average you're earning less than you could earn in industry, you're earning less than you could earn in other professions such as being a lawyer or a banker, and at the same time, per hour of work, you're earning less than the national average. But obviously, just to caveat this, this is in the first 3 years of your career. You will earn more as you progress up that corporate ladder at the Big Four. And also this is very much just focused on salary. The Big Four can give you a variety of other intangible benefits such as experience, working with some of the most prestigious clients, and a variety of kind of other non-financial benefits that kind of distort these figures a bit. But it's a useful reference point. And when we're talking about recognition, we're not talking in terms of kind of internal recognition from teams and managers and salary. What we're talking about is kind of the public recognition. Accounting is one of those weird professions where your work only really makes headlines if something goes wrong. The work you do is obviously very important, not only to the companies you're working for, the capital markets at large, but it can be quite thankless. Clients may not always appreciate the work you're doing. You know, when you're out on site, they have to manage their full-time job on top of responding to all your kind of queries as an auditor. They can see this more as a tick box exercise, something they legally have to do rather than a value-adding experience. If you look in the news over the past couple of years, you see headlines about BHS, Thomas Cook, Wirecard, and various others. Talks about splitting up the Big Four, how Big Four aren't doing their job well enough, and all these various other opinions. But these kind of scandals kind of overlook the thousands of engagements have gone extremely well without any problems. You know, these engagements make up a very small minority of all the work that's performed at the Big Four. But given all this negative press and negative focus, it can hit the job satisfaction. Compare yourself to working in another firm where you're launching a brand new project or product, or you're starting your own business. You know, these are going to be really exciting, memorable times. However, you know, no one's really going to remember the financial audit of 2020. Audit and assurance is really important, obviously, for the functioning of capital markets, but it can be quite thankless. People at Big Four is what everyone always says kind of makes or breaks your experience. And because of this, you're kind of at the luck of the draw of the teams you're put on. So depending on the size or scale of the Big Four office you're joining, there'll probably be hundreds, if not thousands, of various different clients and project teams. And you'll be, when you join, randomly allocated to one of these teams. Given how much you'll be working, like we mentioned before, your kind of team in terms of your manager, your peers, and your partners will really make or break your experience. And this is down to the luck of the draw. For example, good managers will really care about your work-life balance, your personal development, your growth within the organization, your promotions, whereas bad managers won't be. They'll be more focused on maybe progressing themselves or their budgets or various other aspects. So if you're lucky at the start to get a manager that's kind of invested in you, you kind of hit the jackpot. This will open doors. However, if you get some sort of, I don't know, David Brent or Michael Scott or Gordon Gekko style wannabe, you know, this will really affect your experience. Of course, you can speak to kind of your resourcing contacts to see if you can switch up your portfolio, but given the current understaffing issues, changing a portfolio actually can be quite hard at the moment. So it might be quite difficult to swap jobs. And obviously, because you've requested to swap jobs, it can cause a bit of animosity between you and your team or you and your manager. So hopefully you enjoyed that video where we explored the kind of the cons of working as a Big Four. I really don't want you to think of this as being me just moaning. I've also done a video about the pros of working or the benefits of working at the Big Four, so I do recommend you check that out. I've worked at the Big Four myself for the past 4 years and I've thoroughly enjoyed the experience. For me, the pros outweighed the cons, but I really wanted to make this video because, well, accounting's about helping people make informed choices. So I think if I did a video on the pros, it's only fair I do a video as well on the cons. If you're looking to join one of the Big Four, I recommend you kind of watch both videos, try and speak to people within the Big Four. I'm always happy to help with any questions or anything like that. And if you like the content and you're looking for more in terms of Big Four, graduate careers, personal finance and productivity, remember to subscribe to the channel. Also be great to hear if you guys have any other kind of video ideas or what you think of the pros and cons of working at the Big Four, so leave them in the comments below. Anyway, until next time.